Alright, so I got the Grom taken down. Since the exhaust is right in the way for a center stand, and also the frame, it'd be sitting on the engine, I'm not going to put it on a center stand. Fortunately, I have this set up where I can just put it at a comfortable working height, leave it suspended, and right here is perfect for me. So I'm just going to leave it hanging from this thing. I'm just going to do one wheel at a time because I'm somewhat pressed on time today. I don't know if I'll get to both of them. But yeah, I'm going to start on the front wheel first, take it off, see just how hard this is going to be. Since these tires are smaller, I'm kind of expecting them to be harder to work on and off. But I got the new tires down off the roof. Got my tire stand set up right here, so hopefully this goes pretty easily. I hate changing tires so much. If it's very hard, I'll probably just take both wheels off and take it up to Cycle Gear because they swap them for like 20 bucks a tire. But I got the tire stand. That's part of the reason why I bought it, because I thought I'll make my money back by doing it myself rather than paying $20 every time. So here we go. Alright, that is a very simple wheel to take off. It's literally just taking the axle nut off and sliding it out. I always put everything back on here the way that it comes off, so I put both of these spacers back on the side that they came from and put the nut back on there just to make sure that it doesn't get lost, or make sure I don't forget what orientation everything goes in. Brake pads still look pretty good. I'll have to spread those open and get it back on, but I'm going to go ahead and take this over, put it on the tire stand, and hope that I don't have too much trouble getting this swapped out. Dang, that barely fits on there. Well, that's going to be a problem. The diameter of the inside of this hub is too small to fit onto that. But I mean, it'll still work. It's just going to be a little bit floppier than it usually would be. Set it on there like that. Get all this air draining out of this thing. I hope I don't have too much trouble breaking the bead on these. Last time I did tubeless tires, I had an extremely hard time getting the bead to break. Alright, I'm having a really hard time getting this tire to break off the bead, as always. Makes me wish I had one of those stands with the big bead breaker on the top. But I just thought, for one, this will solve my issue of the tire trying to not hold itself down. I got it clamped to the tire stand here. I'm going to see if I can just collapse this tire with a squeeze clamp enough that it breaks off the bead. This could potentially be a revolutionary discovery for breaking tire beads. Okay, so I'm angling this so it's attached. The bottom of the clamp is on the tire stand and the top is only on the tire. That way it's not compressing both sides of the tire. It's only going to be compressing the top down. I don't see any reason why this won't work, or at least assist me and make it easier to break it with a. Okay, look at that. Revolutionary. All right. Really surprised how, well, I guess I'm not surprised. These things have like 600 pounds of clamping force, but I'm really pleased at how well that worked. Because I've spent hours in the past struggling on that step of the process. So a big important tip when you're doing tire changes is I used to struggle first couple of ones that I did because I would just start prying without paying attention to what was going on. But the opposite end that you're prying from has to be in the drop center of the wheel. So periodically throughout doing it, it'll slip back up. So you can't just pry this end down once and then start working, because it'll slip back up as you're prying this out. So you need to get a little bit start, you know, be consistently pushing down on the other end to make sure you can kind of see it when it drops into that drop center. That's the only way that you have room with the tire. It has to drop down into that groove to give you enough room on the other side to come up and out. It won't work otherwise. You'll be wondering how the heck anyone ever does it. But most of the time, if you just push, you can take your tire tool backwards and push down. But usually once you do that once, as long as you're just consistently pressing on that side while you're prying on the other side, it'll usually hold itself down where you can keep working it around. Okay, that's 1/2 off. Alright, beads broke off this side. Use the squeeze clamp trick again. That's a game changer for me. I've always struggled on that. I don't know why I've never thought of that before. But let's see if we can start getting this pried off of the other side. This is going to be a little bit more tricky because this tire stand is so narrow that it actually doesn't support the wheel. The tire is sitting on it. So as I'm trying to pry it off, I got to kind of pry the wheel out of the tire instead of the tire off the wheel like you usually would. And everything's trying to fall off the stand at the same time. There's balancing beads in here. Seems a little strange. Alright, I'm somewhat getting somewhere. I don't think I've ever had this much trouble with the second part of the rim or second part of the tire before. I feel like this part always usually just falls off once you get that first part off. But I will tell you, I don't know if it's just the way that the wheel isn't really supported on this stand or what. I can't get this thing to start working loose for some reason. Get it somewhere though. Yeah, it's working its way around now. Okay. Okay, I've discovered what I think is going to be a little bit of a workaround to the wheel not fitting on that stand. You can see how little it sits on there. It like almost just drops in. But since I can't get that spindle through to tighten it down, what I'm doing is squeeze clamp through the rim all the way down to hooking underneath that little sleeve for holding the tire levers, which makes it a lot shorter. You can see the height that it is now, which I mean, it's not bad. That's as high as I can get it though, because that's as far as that squeeze clamp will extend out. But I'm gonna see if I can get this tire started on there and make sure that I've got this oriented the right way. Tire's gonna be like this, rotating this way. Yep, it is correct, like this. Okay, I don't think this is gonna work either. Alright, had to take a little break, let the battery charge a little bit on the camera. And I kind of needed a break too. This is taking me way longer than I was expecting. I think, after standing back and staring at this for a few minutes, my best method of attack probably to incorporate a couple of more levers. Doing the brake side second was definitely not the best play here, because I can't get flat, you know, I can't be down to get in there, which you can still get in there at the cost of scratching up the wheel and rubbing it on the disc brake a little bit. Oh, nice. Well, maybe I can just take that out of there for a minute. See if I can get this pried around without letting this other end release. Oh my gosh. I had a feeling this was going to be hard because it's a smaller diameter tire. Just makes everything stiffer. I already know that final push to get that end on is going to be extremely hard. Be practical here. Almost got it. Just got this little section here. Probably gonna scratch the wheel pretty bad getting that lever in there. And it's on. Not too bad. No obnoxious scratches. I think those are the worst. I'll touch them up. Wish I was done, but I got an entire other wheel to do after this. Now, since no part of this process can be easy, time to air this thing up and see if it'll pop onto the bead. I'm sure it's not going to be easy. Never is. Go ahead and get everything lubricated. All right, let's see. Maybe this will just magically work. Whoa. Definitely not magically working. Okay, so I've been having no luck at all on this tire, getting it to seat. I don't know if you can tell. It's just so misshapen. I don't know if it's just the tightness, because it's definitely tight, but it lets air out. It's doing that. It's got this big gap between the rim and the tire here and here. I've only ever mounted one tubeless tire in my life. Every time I used to have trouble with tubeless tires on my lawnmower, and I ended up having to take it to a tire shop and have it mounted every time. But I've tried ratchet strapping it. I've tried, you know, just inflating it and pushing on it and stuff. And it's like every time I push here, air starts coming out over here. I took the core out, took a blow tip in there, and blew and did the same thing. Someone said that might work. But the only thing I can really see that seems to consistently work for people is one, the starter fluid method, which I really don't want to have to do, or heating it up and then putting actual dish soap around the perimeter to seal it off, and then trying that. But it's so cold outside, I don't think that putting this out in the sun would help at all. So I looked, can't find our heat gun, but I do have a torch. So I think I'm just going to hold this kind of far away and go around it, try to get this tire warmed up to where maybe it's a little bit more pliable, and maybe that'll work. That and then some dish soap. I'm gonna keep this really low. I don't think this amount of heat would ever damage a tire, but see if I can warm things up a little bit. Okay, so got it mounted. Ended up taking this Dawn dish soap and going all the way around the perimeter. And then I took all the spots that were collapsed in, I put those on the ground and it pressed down onto the ground. When I pushed down, it was expanding it. So it expanded all of them to where they were at least partially seated. And then I aired it up and they popped on just fine. So I guess that's all I needed to do. Warming it up probably helped, but this one's done. Just gotta put it back on the bike and then do the entire back one, which sucks because that front tire took me 2.5 hours. It's 4:30, so hopefully that back tire doesn't take me nearly as long. No idea what that torque spec is. Just gonna go with tight enough. Looks pretty good, that front tire. That's cool. Alright, this one is really going to be a pain, I can already tell. Alright, well, I'm running out of time to do this the right way. Things aren't going very well so far, so I'm just cutting this tire off. Making a lot more smoke than I expected. Alright, I pretty much just started forcing it on there. You can probably see I just got it sitting on I got a 2x4 and a 2x6 block to let it sit on so it's not trying to fall in. Still having the tilting problem, but I guess we're just doing what we can here. Let's see if I can get this to work the rest of the way on here. Alright, well, it's a couple of months later. This back tire just totally defeated me. I don't know, maybe 2 months ago when I was working on this. This is the one I ended up cutting the old tire off of with my grinder. And then I worked on it for like 2 hours trying to get the tire on. I just couldn't do it. It's the small diameter combined with the not being extremely wide. I just couldn't by myself keep it in the drop center while I was trying to work the other side in. It kept everything would slip off. I got one side on and then the other side was just impossible for me. So I took it to a shop. They said they couldn't do it either. They said it was too small. And then it rode around in the bed of my truck for a month or two. And then I finally got one of my friends to help me. And it wasn't even hard at all with two of us. So finally got that on. We went ahead and mounted it. The ratchet strap technique worked on this one to get it mounted. So no problems there, but I'm gonna finally have a back wheel on this thing again. It's been sitting up there, just sitting on the swing arms this entire time, but I'm very ready to have this thing operational again. I've been feeling bad about it sitting around with no back wheel on it. Can't use it or anything, but I'm ready to get it on there and start riding it. All right, there it is. Back wheel is on there. Wasn't too hard to get it back on there. I was afraid it was gonna be a mess with how many different spacers and the brake and everything, but putting the chain on, but didn't have an issue. I'm gonna set it on the ground to adjust the chain tightness. I've got the axle nut just hand tight in there. You can see we really scarred this rim up changing that tire, but we did our best. What can I say? It was rough. Go ahead and lower it, put it on the ground, and get that chain distance set. I'm getting everything. Doing this one-handed is not easy. Finally alive again. Of course, it was never dead, but idle is super low right now, probably just because temperature's different. Hasn't been ran since it was like 30 degrees outside. Now it's like 70 something. Also just hasn't ran in a couple of months. Probably need to put some fuel injector cleaner through it or something. But it looks so good. I also, I never showed it before, but when I bought it, the guy had taken the front and rear fenders off because he thought it looked cooler. But I think it made it look really raggedy. I think it looks a lot better with the fenders on. But those knobbies make it look so aggressive. It actually performed really good with the, it performed pretty good off-road with the slicks, the regular tires, the street tires, but I was just kind of worried about getting a cut in them, riding it over rocks and stuff, so I just went ahead and put some knobbies on it. My next move will be to upgrade the forks. I'm gonna see if I can get some stiffer springs or try putting heavier fork oil in them or something, because I mean I can just push on it and bottom them out. If I try to ride off a curb or anything, it bottoms out, so that's not good for trails. All right, just went for a little ride on it, tested all that, make sure everything's still good. Started running a lot better once I rode it for about a mile. It warmed up. I'm still gonna probably put some seafoam in it, run that through the tank and the injectors, because it's always ran a little bit sputtery. It's like the guy that I bought it from said. He said it's kind of cold-natured. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is there, but who knows? It might need a new spark plug or something. Just not a whole lot of things that can be on one of these. But that's probably it for now. I recorded with my Insta360, but the battery died, so I don't know how much footage I got. I may have some of that thrown in before this clip. Might not. Who knows? But next will be a oil change and see if I can do something about stiffening up the suspension. And I'm probably gonna look at what kind of seats there are available, potentially change the handlebars. I don't know, the seating position on this thing isn't very good for off-road riding. So, and that's ideally what I wanna make it. I wanna make it into like an adventure Grom. So, took it on a pretty long ride just then. That was the farthest I've ever gone on it. It's, you know, it's not too uncomfortable, considering what it is. It's pretty hard to get it over 50. It doesn't, you pretty much can't get it over 50, and it struggles going up hills. I was having to shift down into second to get up any hills, but not bad. But I figure this will be the end of the tire swap video. So if you made it this far, I appreciate it. And yeah, pretty much. Thanks for watching.